What's up, guys? Jimmo here again with another very exciting video on this Nissan that's going to be resprayed a factory sunburst orange. It's a near complete. Let's just take a second to go over the prep work. So the first thing when you see a hood like that, you'll notice the circles on it, and it kind of makes you think a little bit what it would look like to see a painter doing the Running Man.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Okay, so you probably didn't see that coming. The circles are no big deal, no issue. The rest of the car is sanded mostly in 600, a bit finer in my blend areas like the quarter here. I want to keep the original color on there so it continues to match the bumper, and as well as up here on the sail. Unfortunately, on the other side, I have to take my color all the way to the edge, so I did spend quite a bit of extra time adjusting the color to make sure I had a perfect match pretty well, but it would have been nice to bring my color up that post, but what are you going to do? So we're pretty well ready to spray here. It's all been washed down, and the first thing I'm going to apply in my blend areas is an orientation coat, or sometimes called a wet bed, and this is a Glazzer 90 line product, and it's just going to fill in any of the minor scratches so I have a nice smooth area to blend across. So in most of my videos I constantly get asked about my gun, so let me show you what I'm spraying with right now. It's my Iwata LPH 400 with the LVX base coat tip on it, and I'm also using a 1.4 tip. So I am going to begin applying my base coat now, and this is RM Onyx waterborne paint, and it's going to be going on fairly wet. So my first coat, I'm just going to try and cover the primer. Sometimes on a color like this, it can be very transparent, and I did a few spray out cards on it and noticed that it covered pretty well, but that's not always the case when you have a color like this, or you get into maybe a more reddish or yellowish color. And what you would want to do ideally is use a ground coat, which would be just a gray, and you'd want the gray to be of a similar value, which is lightness darkness of the color rather than more towards the hue, and that's going to help you save money on spraying the expensive pearl paint, where you can just put down a solid color to help you with coverage. So I'm only going to show you this first coat going on, but I do apply 3 coats with about 5 to 10 minutes in between each coat to flash off. Basically it just gets sprayed until it's completely covered, and I try and fade it out in my blend zones. And then I check my coverage with the 3M Sun Gun, which is just a big flashlight that has the same spectrum of light as the sun. And what can sometimes happen when you're in a darker, or just inside in general under different lighting conditions, you'll spray the car, it looks like it's covered, then you pull it outside and bam, you can see the primer. And I have been there and it sucks. And the gun I'm using to apply this paint is my DeVelbus CVI with a 1.3 on it. And these guns are all running around 27-28 PSI. So here's what it looks like after the first coat. You can still see the primer spots, and but you can tell the paint actually covers pretty well. So it takes a few more coats, like I say, and then we're onto the clear. So after about 15 minutes of drying time, here is the clear that I'll be applying, which is Glazert 923-200 with the hardener 929-120. And I'll be applying it as usual with my SATA RP 3000 with a 1.3 tip. So whenever you're spraying a large job like this, you want to start and finish your spray at the smallest section of the car, which in this case is the quarter. You could pick the left or right, doesn't really matter. Spraying clear is probably the most fun part of the job, and that's what gives it its shine and its hold out against the sun. As I mentioned in my last video, this is the downdraft booth that I'm spraying in, so the air comes in from the top and it gets sucked out underneath the car. So you should be seeing the overspray going downward as it's coming off the panel. So again, I'm only going to show you the first coat going on here, but I do apply 2 coats and I have to wait about 10 minutes in between each one. So while you're waiting for me to finish up this job, why not go ahead and click the like button? And if you really want to make my day, why not visit refinishnetwork.com after this and like us on Facebook? You can also see where I've blended my base coat out by looking kind of at the tape where it's masked off, and you'll see some color start to go up and fade out, and that'll give you an idea of where I took my color to. So when you come around to the end of your spraying and your clear coat comes to meet, it's not an issue really until the second coat, but what can happen is you have a bit of a grainy dry look, and that's just because the clear coat sat open for too long. And what you can do is spray a bit of blender there to kind of melt it back down, or you can just wait till it dries and sand it and polish it. So here is the final result. I'd say it came out not too shabby. This color actually looks pretty sweet when it's nice and new again. The only small issue really was on the hood. In the center there is a bit of dirt that will need to be sanded and polished out. Probably just hit a little dirt pocket there, primer dust or something that didn't get taken care of when I was cleaning it off at the beginning, or maybe something fell from the ceiling. I don't really know, but again, it's not a big issue. Sand and polish, it'll be good as new. I'm trying to get as close up to this without actually bumping into it to give you an idea of what the finish looks like. And again, if you look at the tape lines, you'll have an idea where the color was blended out. And that blue tape there is trim tape. It's pretty neat. It goes in and flips up a rubber piece of trim so you don't get any paint on it. So as I said, in a perfect world I would have got to blend both sails, but here's how it came out. I'd say it matches pretty well, and across the back, the deck lid to the bumper, looks pretty sweet. Not much left to do, but
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Oppan Gangnam Style.